Good evening. We are Boomer Rex tonight. Let me introduce Mr. Boomer Rex himself.
Yeah, back for more.
And every family has one asshole.
Hi, the internet. How are you?
And I am RisenLadyHeathen. Let's dig right into today's news, politics, and
How is it that asshole is always the one saying understanding things?
Actually, he always says he's usually the opposite of saying understanding things. He usually
Sometimes
says
yes,
contrary
sometimes no.
things.
Yeah,
That's for certain. No, that's always true, because otherwise one side or the other is going to be embellishing in some way. Like, no, it's really cool, and if humans weren't humans, then this thing, and like, oh, wait, no, there was something in the middle there. Like, oh, if humans weren't like humans, communism would work great, and you gotta do it in an industrialized country, and like,
All right, so we're back to that plane flight in where?
Oh, yeah. The Netherlands.
Okay, so 13 have now tested positive for Omicron on that flight.
Yeah, if you recall, there were 600 passengers.
Yep.
61 of them tested positive for COVID.
Yep.
And 13 of those
So 13 of
tested positive for the Omicron
13 of the
variant.
64, was it?
13 of the 61.
61. Okay.
Yeah.
part
Now,
of it,
the
especially
thing to
the standard
realize
spread pattern map.
is because they weren't prepared to do the testing. They left them on aircraft for several hours, right? So there are absolutely for sure these passengers who are testing negative, who are in fact COVID positive,
I see your objection.
right? Because they put them in a Petri dish for
Yeah.
6 hours.
No,
or
they should have
whatever it
popped. They
was.
should have driven to the end of the runway, popped the slides.
Said, hop out, have
Yep.
a seat. Here's some blankets because it's cold out here. Yeah, there are all kinds of things they could have done.
Everybody
and
say
didn't.
hi to the nice medics. If you
So-
try and leave the nice medics, will shoot you.
Yeah. Well, actually, they arrested a couple this morning for escaping their quarantine hotel. They went on to the airplane to get them right before takeoff.
So all those people are now potentially
At risk.
At
Come
risk.
on, I have to learn how to pronounce the North Vietnamese man's name. I
So
fuck
the
around
good
and
news
find
on-
out.
the good news on the Omicron variant is that at least one of the doctors in South Africa who was familiar with it says it tends to give mild symptoms. Well, so did all the others, right? And again, South Africa's freaking out because they've been made the subject of a travel quarantine. And so I'm not sure I trust anything said by the South Africans.
Well, but
So
it sounds
we'll
like
know in a couple of
yeah,
weeks.
it sounds like it's pretty, whatever. So this might not be as big of a concern as we thought, but we won't know for at least
Well-
3 more weeks before we'll really have a good idea. So far, it doesn't seem like Omicron has caused any deaths that we know of yet, but
I doubt that's true.
we'll keep an eye on that. Well, from everything that I had heard from
Yeah.
a reliable source so
That's
far.
the problem. Those are thin, like, the microphones for those are thin on the ground in Africa, I'm
That's
guessing.
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
How would you say that name?
Oh, you just want me to say a weird name.
No.
Where's he from?
Vietnam?
God, I don't even think I've ever tried to pronounce a Vietnamese name. Nguyen Van Limon.
Yeah, that's the guy I got in the picture who's getting summarily executed. And most of the old people know the picture I'm talking about. Don't escape your quarantine hotels, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay,
I
got it. I remember the
This
picture.
is not the disease I would choose that hill to die on. On the other hand, quarantine has to, like, remember when it was Ebola in Texas, who was exactly the state I would not trust to walk across a room with Ebola safely?
Fair.
And they did. Good job. Way to go, Texans. But, like, no.
Yeah, let's just not.
Yep.
So did we want to lead into the rare New England colonial coin?
Oh, sure. I thought this one is. So today I just picked out stuff that I found interesting.
Oh,
So first of
it
all,
is the Sunday.
so this coin was minted sometime between 1652 and 1682, right? And there weren't any other coins minted in New England.
Wow.
So, we were using the coins of the Spanish Empire, the British Empire, etc. And it turned out there was a shortage. So they set up a mint and they had them mint little silver coins.
Nice.
And it has an NE on one side for New England and it has Roman numerals for 12 on the other side, meaning it was a shilling, 12 pence. Right.
Oh, I want
So-
one. I'm from New England.
Yeah, well, they're really cheap. This one just sold for $350,000.
God damn
All
it.
right, internet, get to it. Duffel bags full of 20s.
It was auctioned by Wentworth Beaumont, whose father found it in a candy tin
Oh,
containing hundreds of old coins. Well, that family was on both sides of the Atlantic during this period. So it's not surprising that somehow one of those coins made it to
ended up,
England
yeah.
into a candy tin and sat there for close to 400 years.
Aw.
So anyway, kind of cute.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I want
I
that.
thought the price was great, 350,000. I mean, cheap at twice the price, right? I want two.
So let's hold off on your next story because that's a feel-good story, and I have a lot of not feel-good stories.
You had some
again
not
tonight.
feel good stories? Okay.
So let's start with Virgil Abloh, whatever. And I don't mean whatever. I mean that's just how I'm going to attempt to pronounce this. Is dead at 41 after a private war with cancer. It was apparently a very severe form of cancer. He was the founder of Off-White and the men's artistic director of Louis Vuitton.
Okay.
So he was apparently a good guy, was trying to do good things, trying to improve the sustainability of the products and
Okay.
that sort of
All
thing,
right.
like trying
Cool.
to make improvements to make things better for the world in the creation of these new things. So
Louis Vuitton makes stuff for guys.
yeah,
So what happened to this human?
he died of a very aggressive form of cancer.
Murdered by Louis and Vuitton. I see. That's what happens. Argue sustainability twice.
Yeah.
Blurp, super cancer.
The world's out to get you.
What? It's not polonium, so we know it's not the Russians.
Well, no, I think it's Gaia. The world has decided to get rid of humans.
Oh, yeah, no.
We are helping. The standard.
Not me. I'm good. Don't do crimes. The internet.
So what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene becoming the face of the Tea
Oh,
Party?
yeah,
Is
I
that still
just
a fucking
love this.
Tea
thing?
Party was barely a thing.
So it turns out there's some GOP lawmakers who are just panicked that Marjorie Taylor Greene is, quote, becoming the face of the GOP. Hey, nitwits. She's been the face of the GOP for the past 12 months. This is the scum you run with,
Yeah,
and all of America knows it.
yeah.
So sorry about that shit, Chuck.
Could we
You
wait?
created the environment that morons like that could be elected, and they were.
I'll point out, America, could you make that more of a deal breaker, please?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it turns out the real Republicans, the two that are left, right, have a plan to have Boebert and
This Romney and Liz Cheney plotting crazy stuff in a phone booth?
it must be. My God. Anyway, to
Like, good
have-
luck. Like, I absolutely wish the good Republican voters something. Because again, like what? They're going to go back to running Mitt Romney, whose economics is absolutely demonstrably false versus what we see in the real world.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. That's what
They'll
their
be
party
polite.
does.
oh yeah, no,
Right. They're going to cut the
It's
taxes
been a while since
of
it
the
was
rich
Rockefellers.
because that's who pays
Yeah.
them to do it.
And
Right.
who do we think's going to vote
So,
against that?
The fact that the
Didn't we
unspeakably
just find our
ugly
party
face
decided
of
to do
Marjorie Taylor Greene is the face of their party is no surprise. They earned it.
Yeah. And if
And
you
her
don't
little
like
sidekick, Boebert, or whatever
yeah,
her name is.
if you don't like it, it's just fucking do something about it, guys. Like, this is your party. Take back control, man.
Two
Seriously.
more repulsive women the earth has never seen.
Oh God. So this kind of we're gonna.
I
go
need
from-
$480 million, the internet.
Is that what it takes to buy?
That's what I
the
need for
heavy
my
lift?
kidney or whatever. Yeah.
You need a kidney.
Yeah, sure. Looks kind of like
it
that.
does kind of look like a kidney.
This is the Lockheed P791.
Heavy
What
lift.
is it?
Yeah,
100 tons.
something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like, what is it? What is it filled with?
It's a hybrid airship that we're gonna name Yacht.
I want an airship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it,
Yeah.
people.
We'll give rides once
We'll
a year.
give free
hold it.
rides.
Yeah.
What's a tank cost?
Twice a year. Let's be
to where
nice.
one of these
If they're
is.
going to give us enough money to buy one of these, at least twice a year, we'll
Okay.
take people for a ride.
We'll have coupon Thursday.
I will annually
Coupon
fly
thing.
over Davos and what's the other one? Jackson Hole and pee on people.
Oh my God, that's
Oh, I like that.
The nice thing
Yeah.
about blimps is they're effectively made
I'll
of
even
small
buy
arms.
one of those little lady things that you put in, so it's got a little tube on it, and you can pee. So then that way I can pee out the door
okay.
too.
Wouldn't have thought of that, but okay.
So let's head on over.
We can put up a whole row of those.
There we go. Let's head on over to Nashville, Tennessee, where there was a tragic fatal shooting of a family that leaves a suspect dead too. 3 people were killed and 4 injured. 6 of the victims are all from the same family. The 2 boys, 18 and 15, were killed. Their mother, 40, their 16-year-old sister, 13-year-old brother, and an unidentified 20-year-old. I say unidentified because there was a space where it said 20 dash, and then they forgot to write in the rest of it.
Okay.
So I'm going to call them unidentified 20-year-old, were brought to the hospital and are all expected to survive. So it was these 2 boys who I imagine were probably trying to defend their family. The third person was a 29-year-old male. And he's one of the 2 people who came into the house armed. So these 2 people, it's thought that they gained entry by knocking on the door with the intention to rob the apartment. Officers are still looking for the second gunman and are questioning witnesses to try to determine exactly what happened. This happened yesterday.
Right.
So Saturday.
Yep.
Just very sad.
There's a story like that every day.
Yeah, there's a million stories like that every day.
Well, and again, like,
And crimes at a record lows. So behold the power of reporting bias, the internet.
in this instance, this is one of those areas where shooting fatalities are going up. But again, not
There's a mass shooting
Yeah.
every day.
Yes, but anyway.
We can do the other. We can talk about the
No,
fact
no,
that
no.
Pennsylvania just hit 90s level of violence for the first time in 40 years.
Right.
No, 30 years.
Yeah.
So, but I also think that's a one-off. I don't mind. We can go back to the 90s level of violence. Boomers, the one thing I can tell you is you need to shut up. Not everything is a teachable moment. You need to just let it go. Because there are wildly a lot of stories about boomers. And those are the ones that don't show up in the news, but they happen so very often. Where they get punched in the neck and they're paralyzed.
Yeah.
Oh, we've seen a
You
bunch
cannot
of
fight an
those over
18-year-old.
this
I
last year,
am closer to 40 than I am to 30. If I fight a 18-year-old, it's a lethal fight from the jump.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to control them or anything else. Like, if I had to fight a boomer right now, it would be like when they fought me when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to break your little bird bones.
All right, so
Okay.
what's going on with Canada and
Oh,
getting
this
their
is
maple
great.
reserves?
This is great. So, turns out Canada has a strategic reserve of maple syrup.
That's why we have a plan to invade them.
Yeah, well, I can certainly understand.
Among
why they
many
would
other reasons.
put them on the list of places to go take over. So they are releasing syrup from their strategic maple syrup reserve.
Wow.
And again, they have a lot of industry that's based on
I was going to say.
the availability of maple
It's gonna
syrup.
be like the Japanese dumping steel. Are they just trying to get all of the like artisanal maple people to die?
It just makes me happy that things that don't actually have maple syrup in them cannot call themselves maple
Maple
syrup
syrup.
anymore. You have no idea, as a New Englander, how much that
I
touches
know.
my heart and makes me happy.
Yep.
Not saying I don't love me some Aunt Jemima, just saying. It's not
And if I want to
maple
drink plastic
fucking
sugar, I'm
syrup.
drinking that. Yeah, it's like the butter flavoring at movie theaters.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's not butter. The closest that ever was to butter is when it drove by some cows in a truck.
Right.
Anyway,
like, don't
so
pretend
this
to be
year-
something you're not.
This year was not a great harvest, but it was average. What created the shortage is demand rose by 21%.
Oh yeah, well, people are probably home cooking more.
Yeah, it could
That's
be.
true.
I can
Everybody
decide.
had a pandemic to
See
learn how to
that,
cook.
yeah.
Now,
And
cooking at home.
decided they wanted actual maple syrup.
Well, and all those yeast people have all that yeast in the bread now. Like they know how to do this shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not
it's
gonna
sad
lie.
that sourdough was so complicated.
I'm not gonna lie. I've considered several times making bread, and every time I look at the process and I watch the videos, I'm like, no, I'll just go out and buy
Yeah.
some. It's not fucking worth saving the 25 cents.
Well, and it's
to
not
make
fun
it
like
myself.
cookies or any of the other stuff
Right.
where afterwards, like, ooh, a little treat. Or even like cornbread, but a lot of it's, I'm just real lazy.
While we're talking about it, can we buy some good bread? I'll put it on the list.
Yeah.
Okay. Some good sticks and brambles bread.
So let's
Anyway,
talk
so
about.
it's just great because again, strategic maple syrup reserve.
Of course, they've got.
You
It's
gotta
fucking
Canada love that.
Well,
It's
we've got a
Canada,
strategic
eh?
corn reserve, I'm almost certain.
Yeah.
Um.
Now you know we made maple syrup one year.
Yeah. I remember
right.
hearing about that.
We had a tree that hadn't been tapped in 80 years, so we tapped it. It was hard to keep up with the flow.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Boiled it all down, wound up with about a gallon of deep, dark, heavy maple syrup. It was wonderful.
It sounds delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
What?
We have 2.61 billion bushels in our strategic grain reserves.
All right.
I was just assuming that we had a strategic corn reserve, and turns out yes, but it's
Yeah.
all counted in our grain reserves.
Okay.
Fair.
Cool.
So a stowaway was found in Miami after a flight from Guatemala.
Do not stow away in planes.
He-
It's not like the movies.
He apparently stuffed himself in the landing gear.
That's the
Um,
standard one.
And he's currently getting medical attention and being interviewed by U.S. Customs and Border
Do
Protection.
we know if he's got a hypoxic
officers.
brain injury yet?
Couldn't find anything on it. I looked.
No. All I found was that he was, there's video of it, and it describes parts of the video where you see a man kind of stumbling
Yeah,
around
he
with a
was
bunch
not
of
in
people
great shape.
Yeah, he wasn't escaping.
The interesting thing is
Where'd they land?
that they
Miami.
had.
I don't know where.
The interesting thing is they had
Miami
security.
International Airport.
They had security meet them on the runway, which must mean they knew he was there.
Well, maybe they figured it out.
Oh, the screaming
Something.
probably helped.
Well, yeah,
And the clawing.
yeah. No, he's very lucky to be alive. I do not believe that the wheels are that the
It was a
area
2.5
for the
hour
wheels
flight.
are pressurized.
No, they're not.
So
That's why no one ever
probably they
survives some
flew at
transatlantic.
24,000,
Yeah,
but it was a short flight.
yeah. About 2.5 hours.
Anyway,
Well,
so
good luck.
incredibly lucky to be alive.
Well, and we'll see if he stays that way. But yeah, no, I mean, if he makes it, good for him. Hopefully they don't just send him back.
That's what they'll do.
Yeah, I'm sure. So what's going on with this Taliban 2.0? What's this?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you remember the last time the Taliban were in charge of a big chunk of Afghanistan.
Oh God, we are talking about Afghanistan.
Yeah. They
I was annoyed this wasn't lumped in with green, but no, I got you now.
yeah. They blew up 1,000-year-old statues of Buddha.
Yep.
So now
Assholes.
the Taliban 2.0, if you pay them $5, they'll let you go and look at the place where they committed this crime against humanity. So
The buddy Jesus of the Taliban is allowing you to see the crater of the what used to be a beautiful thing. Like
yeah,
this
it
is
was
why
a World Heritage Site, etc., etc.,
this is why we people do not commit these types of war crimes. It's not okay, and you might regret it later. You know what I mean? Like this is
I
aggressive.
propose we make them regret it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, this is aggressively not cool.
If you wanted your country not to be run by the Taliban, you should have picked up a rifle and stood a post.
Yeah.
We should have.
Anyway.
Instead, the Marine Corps literally wanted to be given Afghanistan as an eternal free fire range, as a live training exercise.
Yeah.
Which a little bit says what we think about the combat capabilities of the Afghanis. And yeah, no, 9 people a month. Yes, that's
Yeah, that's
absolutely
ridiculous.
sustainable for that. But that's U.S. losses.
Yeah,
no, last year.
Yeah.
Yes, we could sustain a range that killed 9 people a month.
Well, and clearly the 20 some odd billion we spent bought us nothing.
No, and bolting on a Jeffersonian government was not what they needed.
Yeah.
Where court cases took 6 months, and at night, after we choppered the government out of town and the Taliban crept in and said, "Oh, we're holding court in the basement of Who's It's Pizza What's It,"
Yeah.
and they would get you justice before sunup because they had to leave before the drones were awake.
Yeah. So
So did you guys?
totally screwed that one up.
Yeah.
But I just love the idea that for $5 you can go and look at their war crime.
I'm not
At the crime scene?
paying anybody $5 to go look at their war crime. Fuck that shit. But anyway,
I'm
don't
not
go
going
there.
to
It's not-
Afghanistan.
Yeah, don't go there. It's not a good place. It's
Yeah.
not
I
a
didn't
safe
drop
place.
anything.
And as a woman, I aggressively wouldn't go there because they'd kill me in a day. Like
Well,
I'd
you're
walk
gonna
out
play
there, I'd be
music.
like, "What up, Afghanistan?" They'd be like, "Shoot her now, she's crazy."
Right.
Yes.
Oh God.
I was looking to see if they'd canceled college yet. I mean, that's going to be the play.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
going to hold
Well,
us
they
hostage with their civilian
they
population.
threw all the women out of the college.
Okay, so that's what I thought I
No,
had
they're
read.
well underway
Yes.
to being the Taliban
They
we
were.
all know and despise.
Yeah,
Well, and that's funny
this
because we were
brutal.
trying to paint this beautiful picture of, oh no, they're all like millennials, and like,
nope.
no,
They're all woke.
but they
woke
like
Taliban.
modernity, and that's the thing is
They are theocratic scum.
we should
Yeah.
turn off the internet
Fuck 'em.
now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right, no YouTube, no nothing. And yes, that means we won't be able to document the war crimes. Yep. It also means they can't use them for propaganda value. It'll
Yeah.
turn up on the websites, but
Oh, it'll get there eventually.
hammer
'cause You'll
those.
have people
Uh-huh.
on. Yeah, they'll pass it.
but
It'll
they
get
have to
there,
do
but-
that. That requires a whole thing.
Well, in that same pathway, we'll take out the evidence of the war crimes. So,
At least the ones they don't want to brag about. No, otherwise they're going to do this, right? They're going to use their civilian population as hostages against us.
and we should explain to them not so much.
Yeah.
Then we need to not be so shouty about how much we're the world police and
Fair.
who we need to worry about next.
Again, if you're an Afghani and you didn't want the
Yeah.
Taliban in
Oh, for
charge, you should have picked up a rifle and stood a post, and you didn't do it.
While America was dropping fully formed
yeah.
and useless hospitals on you. Hundreds of billions of dollars a pop.
Yeah.
No, we just blew money.
Yeah.
Like everything crazy about the little CIA towns in Vietnam
Yeah.
appears to have just been true everywhere in Afghanistan. The U.S. Army wasn't. You got
Anyway.
contractors drunkenly riding around on motorcycles, firing their guns in the air, and then shooting the cop that came up to ask him, "Please don't do donuts in the fucking intersection."
So, what are your
Bad
guys'
thing,
opinions on Chris Christie trying to give a clean slate to the GOP, pushing to forget past failures and to move forward
Chris Christie is
with
spoiled
new-
goods and hasn't got a chance in hell.
with new messaging and following
Uh-huh.
through to win again? He says that the whole bullshit about, he said, no, Trump lost the election.
Yeah.
We need to get up beyond that. We need to forget about it.
Yeah.
And, we need to move forward to new elections. Otherwise we're going to lose.
Chris Christie is spoiled goods and will have trouble getting on the ballot in most states. So,
I don't know, kind of, sort of. I am not opposed if, Trump doesn't run.
well, you do some research on what Chris Christie has stood for his entire career.
Well, I also know that Biden ain't getting shit done, so
Well,
I don't know. I
You
don't know
figure
what
the
he's
next
doing.
time the Republicans are in charge, Social Security and Medicare will end.
Oh no! A thing I was never going to
Oh,
see
who stopped
anyway.
that?
Do you think I'm kidding?
We
I know how to
already-
fix Social Security. I know, just like the climate change stuff, we aren't doing
I
it.
already get the yearly thing that says this is how much you were supposed to get, this is how much you're actually gonna get, and every year that amount goes lower and lower.
What are you talking about?
The projected payments.
When they send you the projected payments of what
Right.
you'll receive if you retire tomorrow or whatever, it is.
Yes.
or
As
at your
opposed to
appropriate
what you will
age.
receive when you retire at full age.
Yeah.
All
No, no,
those
no, but-
numbers
but-
are
but-
what you will get. There's no, here's what you should have gotten and what you will get.
No,
That's not in it.
All right, well, next time I get one, I'll go over it. But
It's a program that won't exist for my generation. We do not care about it. And yes, it might in some mythical whatever. Right? It's like that lump. I'm sure it'll just go away.
Gosh, you want to tax the rich.
Do you see any evidence we are capable of doing that?
I know if you elect Chris Christie,
Oh, for sure.
there's no chance on earth it will happen.
It's not going to happen if Trump gets in office, and then Biden's not going to maintain. If Biden runs again, we're going to lose either way. So you know what? Fuck it. Fuck everything.
Yeah, don't play chicken with millennials.
Let the world fall apart around me. I will point and laugh.
Better to live one day as a lion.
No, and that's what created the Trumpistas.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
I
actively
understand.
working to turning me into one, and I can string a sentence together.
Yeah. Well, we can fix that. You don't have to have a tongue.
I can still write.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
Did you guys hear about
no,
this?
back to Chris Christie. No, Chris Christie can't lead a redemption arc from what he's starting with. Tabula Rasa will not work for the religious because they have to have the hit rock bottom moment and the letting of Jesus and wheel takings. So, going forward, Chris Christie is just trying to keep the money kids from leaving.
Yeah.
Right. We're
And
all
hoping they'll dump some money on him as he.
yeah, it's
fades
part
away.
of whoever's pushing it. One of their party finance bills allows for the same change we made 2007 when they weren't going to have a national convention because they didn't have enough small money donors to rent the space.
Yeah.
So we allowed a corporation to do that. I think it was anyway. There's a new one coming up because again that problem and.
No,
So-
and again, what are your other choices going to be if Trump doesn't run? We're looking at DeSantis, and
Oh, yeah.
he is far worse than Trump or Chris Christie by measurable amounts.
The problem with Trump is there's no telling what he's going to do.
Yeah, but he's
It's like a
also
randomly
crazy, so
firing
you're
gun.
kind of hoping
Yeah.
he kind of wanders off from whatever thought he had and tries
So
to do
here's my
something else,
prediction.
like back to the wall or
That's
something.
not how it worked under Reagan. I
Is
doubt
that
it's
Donald Trump will be the nominee of the Republican Party, period.
Well, then we're all going to die anyway, so
No,
fuck
we have
everything.
to beat Donald Trump.
We can't with Biden. It's not going to happen.
know. We'll
I
see.
will tell you this right now.
We'll see. We're a long way from that election.
The problem is, one generation's always said we'll see, and we have, and it's only ever gone in one direction.
And I'm sorry, that's something I have said before.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I've heard that noise since the '90s. The only time it was vaguely, marginally, not getting actively worse all the time, and that was a long, long time ago.
Yeah. So, did you guys hear about the Serbia protests?
What's going on in Serbia?
So, Serbia protesters blocked major bridges to Belgrade. Is that
Probably.
Yeah.
okay? For 1 hour.
It's gonna be an atomic bar store all over.
As a warning.
They have
to-
a Belfast, Serbia too, I guess.
As a warning to the government to cancel new laws they say favor foreign investors, devastating the environment. This happened yesterday on Saturday. They pledge if these new laws aren't withdrawn, protests will continue and increase.
There you go.
Do we know anything about the laws they're protesting?
I do not.
Just that they're they are for foreign investors coming and just causing havoc on the land out there.
So deregulation.
Well, exactly the kind of thing you could see bribery getting.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep.
100%.
Okay.
So let's talk about the Letterman jacket, and then I have a whole big discussion here.
Okay, so I love the Letterman jacket, and this is my good news for the
All right.
day. So in 1994, a young man earned his letter,
Mm-hmm.
and he went down, and you have to, your Letterman's jacket comes with like options, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to select those. When it came time to pick it up, his family couldn't afford the $300, and I'm sitting there going, $300 in 1994 is a lot of money
Yeah, that's how much they
for a
cost.
letter jacket.
Yeah,
So-
they're not cheap.
Anyway, he didn't pick it up. So 28 years later, his brother is in a secondhand clothing store 125 miles from the city.
Oh wow.
And he stumbles across a rack that has some Letterman's jackets. And one of them, he looks at it and realizes this is the one his brother ordered in 1994.
Oh dang.
It's got his name on it. It's got the year on it. It's the right high school.
Oh my God.
So anyway, he bought it for him for $25.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now this is cool because it still had the little piece of paper from the inspector in the pocket.
Yeah.
So it's probably never even been put on
No,
by
I bet
anybody
you.
else.
I bet
right?
you those people had it in their back room forever, right? Sold the place. Whoever bought the place just threw all the old
We
clothes.
understand a little bit when that sports clothing store went out of business. He took all of his clothing to this secondhand clothing store.
Right.
It's a consignment shop.
Right.
So anyway, kind of cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well played, buddy. Hope it still fits.
And good job not just flashing it and having your insurance write it off.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway,
Looking
he
at
earned
you,
his
Louis
letter in
Vuitton.
1994 in Scottsdale.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
anyway.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Oh, you're going to come back with another nasty story now.
no, it's not really a nasty story. It's more of a
Okay.
discussion.
Okay.
It's a nasty discussion.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it
comment,
certainly will
subscribe
be.
for more bummers on the
I'm
internet.
not sure if I'd even call it a nasty discussion, just the reality of
Turn the page and we'll
world
find
today.
out.
Ahmaud Arbery, the verdict. Okay, so this is what I want to discuss tonight, and I did research an article, which I'm not sure if we'll get through all of what I have so far, but it was a very interesting article. But before that, I want to ask you guys a couple of questions, and we'll have some discussion here. Could this verdict potentially discourage future issues with white people trying to harass or otherwise detain black people? Is it potential that people will see this and go, "Oh shit, they're actually paying attention now. We're not going to get away with this"?
I think it might
now."
make some idiots pause, right? Especially those not too far away, right, geographically.
Right.
But we've shown over the years that, for instance, the death penalty does nothing to deter crime.
Oh,
period.
sure,
Okay.
for sure.
So this isn't even a death penalty.
No.
So do I think it's going to deter crime? In some very specific cases where the thing is, it'll have to occur to them as they're getting set to go try to be a super cop and stop some
Citizen
bad black
arrest.
person. And,
Yeah.
in that situation where before they act, they can see the similarity, it might discourage some tiny handful.
Yeah. Like, once the hypothalamus has them,
Yeah.
once their heart rate is elevated,
Yeah.
like that
They're
whole,
on the hunt.
and there is no tomorrow. Right. That part of the brain cannot conceive of
Yeah.
days. It's just one endless strip.
Yep. And we have enough trouble trying to get cops to back off when subjects surrender.
Right.
Right. You get in that hunt mode.
Yep.
Right. It's hard.
Well, and right, part of it is everything I was taught was right because there's going to be someone else in the Humvee, right? They're going to get right. You don't need to be close. You can shout to them and walk up. But cops deal with more kids that run away.
So your guys' general thought is for the most part no, but maybe in a couple select isolated cases with people who actually have thought processes before they
I
do
can't
a thing.
think of a time showing them the hammer we'd use worked, right? Harsh penalties didn't work on DUI cases, didn't work on drug dealers.
Right.
So
So
I'm
the-
distrustful. Yes.
The answer to that is sounds like a pretty resounding nah, not really.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, a pretty resounding, yeah.
Yeah. So now here's another question.
Okay.
Could this potentially show a shift in, what white America deems, so to speak, as an appropriate response to a black person who may or may not have committed a crime?
Absolutely not. No effect whatsoever anywhere.
No. Not saying effect. Saying, does this show that white people are shifting their
No.
thought process
Absolutely
on
not.
whether a black person
No.
is right or wrong?
No.
And that's why
No.
this verdict came down this way.
No.
None of the goulash that makes the
Yeah.
right biases work. is
Well,
true.
because this was a mostly white jury
Mm-hmm.
that convicted these people. So
And they used exactly the successful prosecutorial tactic on it.
Yep.
They harped on, and heavily and rightly, on the power disparity in it. Right, that's what makes it a lynching, not...
So, no, this is an anomaly, as you will see in the next month or so.
no, I hope not. But anyway, so the article I want to discuss But I did want to have these discussions before I got into this, because there's a lot of exactly what we were just talking about in this. And I found it after I had started kind of writing these discussion questions. So Politico's Cynthia Lee has an interesting thought in a piece that's called Ahmaud's Killers Are Guilty, but Tyrone's Shooter Went Free. Why?
You want an answer?
Well, you can give me an answer, or you can let me read to you the article.
Because everybody who was involved in that courtroom was afraid to fight Trayvon Martin in the dark. It was a one-on-one fight.
So anyway, and you're not, I mean, still, it sounds weak to me, but yeah.
They've been raised to be afraid of black people. They've only ever seen them as criminals on television. They've seen right? Ice Cube, who has a song fucking called Cop Killer, is the only one of the few black cops they've ever seen, unless they grew up at, like, on our age and saw Mr. Rogers. So, no, TV did it to him.
Okay, so in this article, she talks about how subconsciously jurors tend to favor white over black defendants. But she says that a good prosecutor can subtly shift this bias and achieve verdicts that are more fair. Okay, so in both of these cases, these suspects. All right, let me start over again instead of trying to reword what I wrote and say. Yeah. Both black men in these cases were suspected of burglary, and all defendants claimed self-defense. In both cases, the men that did these murders were not immediately arrested or charged. In both trials, defense teams focused on racial stereotypes to boost their positions. Zimmerman's defense brought in a neighbor that had been robbed by a black man and was stuck hiding upstairs and petrified while this man went through her things. This connected being black with committing crimes, and making it seem reasonable that a black man Zimmerman didn't know must have been up to no good. In the Arbery case, they hit a similar vein, having the neighbors on the stand talking about crime in the neighborhood, and Travis Michael pushed the angry black man stereotype, claiming when he pulled up next to Arbery to ask him what was going on, that Arbery looked mad. She discusses that studies have shown that people tend to see ambiguously hostile behavior by a black man as dangerous, violent, and threatening, while seeing a white man behave the same way is seen as playing around. Gregory Michael's lawyer went even further, strongly suggesting the reason Arbery was in the neighborhood was specifically to engage in criminal activity. Even with these very similar, nearly rubber-stamped defenses, race worked differently in these trials. There was much more nationwide focus on the role that implicit racial bias likely played in Arbery's killing before and during the trial, maybe even contributing to the final guilty verdicts. She goes on to explain that decades of social science research indicates that when race is not highlighted in a trial, jurors tend to be more punitive against black defendants and more forgiving of white defendants, even when all other facts are equal.
Yeah.
When race and the possibility of racial bias is highlighted either by the attorneys, a witness, or the judge, jurors tend to treat black and white defendants more equally. Yeah. So you see that she's talking about something very simple that could be done in every one of these cases that could potentially cause more fair, equal outcomes. You're just talking about the aspect of there being a bias.
If the judge permits it, if the prosecution team is smart enough to do it. Again, this was an anomaly. It will not likely repeat.
Zimmerman and the nitwits aren't a good one-to-one comparison.
No.
I think Zimmerman doesn't look white to most juries. So you start at, This is, then you get into how do you make the defense look human?
So basically, what our argument is in a case where a white defendant claims to have killed a black victim in self-defense,
Yep.
race needs to be made salient so that the jury doesn't subconsciously favor the white defendant over the black victim.
I think that's good advice to prosecuting attorneys.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you can find 10 of them who listen, well,
Well, and there's more to the article that I didn't get to finish. So potentially these things that you guys are discussing, she might have covered, but I will talk about that more tomorrow. But in this,
You, the internet.
yeah, no, I thought that this was an extremely interesting
no,
article,
yeah,
and it's not wrong.
it's a
You know
good,
what I
it's a
mean?
good postmortem, and what
Absolutely.
she's saying is right.
Right.
The problem is getting it into court
Yep.
and having prosecutors who can do that prosecution. And I don't think those are going to be common.
Well, and her argument is that the prosecutors in the Ahmaud Arbery case
Did a superb job.
did a much better job.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, they went right out of stand your ground in the first 2 steps,
Yep.
which is what this would normally.
You may
been
have
defended under.
trouble finding prosecutors who are willing to do that.
And they got to be reelected. Depends on the case.
Uh-huh.
And that's going to be determined by the media, who's going to find the worst possible picture of
Yep.
somebody.
So, again, sadly, I think it's an anomaly. So, we shall see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In this instance, I would like to.
Yep.
Because I looked
Well,
up the
and we
Georgia
have-
Stand Your Ground law, and they don't qualify under it.
Yeah.
So you were saying,
I was going to say the Charlottesville case, right, which also had a positive outcome for the plaintiffs.
oh yes,
And that one, you can look at the people who were being prosecuted, and more repulsive people would be hard to find, except Marjorie Taylor Greene might be
no
more.
man, real marching around Nazis.
Yeah,
always
that's
worse.
true.
Kids who
Anyway, and they
aren't
were
kidding.
repulsive on the stand, and the jury said,
Oh, yeah.
these are not my people."
Yep.
Right. So.
On the other hand, they have an impressive litigation shield of almost none of this exists. Right, they're nitwits with a laptop. They have no holdings.
Oh yeah, I don't think they're going to get the 26 million.
Because again, it's not the old school Klan where they're
But
actually
they might
was
be
an
able to
organization,
hand.
and-
They might be able to hound the convicted clowns into poverty, which would be kind of fun to watch. So.
Yeah. Hey, that or look for Russia to put up a PayPal equivalent.
As soon as they have the money, they can go get it. So.
But nope. So that's that, and we'll finish the explanation
Okay.
tomorrow.
No, she's entirely right in what she's saying. We know that there's racial bias in juries,
For sure.
right? What happened here was the prosecutors were very good at raising that possibility and asking the jurors to consider
And trusting
that
the
as
jury.
part of their, yeah.
Because they also got fairly complicated instructions on the, what was the idiot law they were trying
Malice
to use?
murder.
Yeah. And the right to a citizen's arrest,
Yeah.
which is garbage laws
Yeah.
designed to underwrite exactly
Slave
this,
chaser
but-
laws.
and bounty hunters and 12 other ungood
Yeah.
things.
Exactly. But again, Charlottesville is not comparable, right? Because there, what the prosecutors did was make it clear that what they had on the stand were the scum of the earth, on the defense.
Notice half of them
were
were
the scum of
auditioning
the
for it.
earth. And
No, they were all. That was a bunch of people
Yeah.
running for David Duke's crown.
Yeah.
Or I guess tiara, whatever David Duke's got.
tiara.
I like that better. It somehow seems worse. I
Yeah.
don't know why. No offense to whatever the difference is.
Yeah, no, and I'm not really gonna talk much until I can get to the rest of this article.
Okay.
Because I found it so late because I was talking to somebody, and Sundays being slow news days, I was like, I'm just
I
struggling
didn't have
here.
much.
Yeah.
And a very good friend of mine mentioned that, hey, maybe you should talk about this and just have a discussion on it and
Yeah.
whatever, which caused me to do research, which then I stumbled across this article, which I found extremely interesting.
Yeah.
And felt the need to share.
No, it's a good article. Go do the rest. We'll do the rest tomorrow night. Cool.
Yeah, there's only like 3, maybe 4 more paragraphs, but it was certainly enough that, like, Yeah, I went through a lot
Yeah.
to just get what I got.
Excellent.
So, it's just an intriguing explanation of how, the steps that caused each of these trials to go one way or the other.
Yeah.
So even though they were prosecuted or should I say defended pretty similarly. But
All right.
all right. So tonight was fun. I feel like
I've got a story.
go
You got a
for it.
story? Let's
Yep.
hear it.
How about a New Zealand member of parliament, Julie Ann Genter,
Oh my God, yes.
rode her bike in labor to the hospital.
Nice. Well played, lady.
This is what you call a commitment to sustainability.
And at 3:04 a.m., she had a healthy and happy daughter.
Oh, good for her. And well played.
And that's
Riding a
hardcore.
motorcycle in
Yeah.
labor.
Bicycle.
Oh, bicycle.
Oh,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
bike?
Bicycle.
Like a pedal
With
bike?
I want to ride my bicycle. Bicycle. Yeah,
It wasn't
with a
even an
chain
electric
and the
bicycle?
pedals. No. Well, I don't.
It didn't say.
Yeah.
I hope it was an electric bicycle at the very least. Holy
knows?
shit.
Probably.
That looks like a motorcycle to me. That's why I said
The
motorcycle.
only part that actually matters is that rear wheel, and that looks like a hub.
Even if it's an electric scooter, I don't fucking care. Like, it's electric.
Like,
That's
it's a pedal.
fine.
That's a hub.
Yeah. But yeah. So, good
Um,
job. Well done, the monkey.
I'm sorry, we were saying different things.
Either way, it's impressive.
I think there's a good chance that's a motor.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think it's
fine.
a hub wheel.
Yes.
So,
But either way, that's still
Right.
fucking
Way to go.
well played, woman.
I'm not riding a bike
Yeah.
into the hospital to have baby.
She is woman, hear
In
her
the dark,
roar.
Calling fucking Disney. I don't even know if that's true. I'm sure it's not. It's a thing I heard in the 90s. They were all lies.
What?
Everything I heard in the 90s was lies. Work hard, Social Security.
What was
That's true. We were told all this.
what was this? Well,
Wouldn't
play
be
your
happy.
cards right. You'll inherit a lot of my Social Security because I'm not probably going to spend it.
Okay.
So,
All
What was
right.
what?
what did you hear that was a lie about pregnancy and bicycles?
Oh, no. But if a man manages to get pregnant, you own the Disney Corporation. It's one of those weird urban noises.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think a
It was
couple.
about Disney made a movie where they made a baby and everyone
Yeah.
made a joke. So
Oh,
now I'll have to look it up.
No, I feel like a couple people tried to cash in on that. It didn't go their way. But anyway,
it isn't impossible.
well,
I mean, I think it would be high risk, but yeah, it can almost certainly be done.
okay, explain to me how that plumbing
I'm
works.
going to implant a uterus.
Oh, implantation. I don't feel like that's having a baby
Yeah.
though. Like that's not.
Um,
the
I
thing.
think shoot out of the
I
uterus
think you
and go-
can pull the baby and implant the placenta.
It's also not true before anyone is out there with an X-Acto knife. You
Well,
don't get
yeah.
to own Disney just because you're a dude that makes a baby.
I think you'd have to be careful where you implanted the placenta.
So I feel like this is the weird news part.
You're telling me I can implant a placenta, but I can't have goddamn tiger eyes.
All right. Well, you know what? This has been fun, but I'm gonna cut us off right here before we
Just before we
devolve.
go
I need to
too
see in the
crazy.
dark for a bunch of good reasons.
Fuck's sake.
Can tigers see in the dark?
Love you all. Thanks for hanging out with us again, and we'll see you
Like,
tomorrow
comment, subscribe.
night on Boomer Rex Tonight.
More crazy stories tomorrow.